A legendary weekend in the Lou. PGA Tour champions compete in the Stifel Charity Classic, presented by Compliance Solutions, September 4th through 7th. And see O.A.R. perform live with your Friday ticket. Visit StifelCharityClassic.com today.
Hi there, and welcome to the Randy Karraker Show on STL Sports Central, presented by DraftKings, where the crown is yours. Matthew Rocchio, Randy Karraker, and we're glad to have you with us here on the Randy Karraker Show. Okay, I want to start with this. Terrell Whitener is watching on the YouTube as we get things started this morning from Vegas, and I want you to tell us where you're watching or listening from as we traverse this show. 10:05, and we see faces. Let's turn to. We're glad that you were a part of the show.
Why were you telling people that at 10 o'clock that I was nowhere to be seen?
Because I couldn't see you. On the chat, I was just participating in the chat. But by the time we got on the air, Matthew Rocchio is here. So, okay, so Jeremy, he said 10:07. He said, I was off big time. Not really, only by 2 minutes. I mean, theoretically, we're supposed to be on at 10. Not really. No, this is a podcast. We can be on whenever we want. On radio, if we were on at 10:05 and we weren't there, that might be a little bit different. But we run this show here, big boy.
Yeah, we do. Whenever you want to. Damn right. Oh,
Yeah.
We got Tulsa from Skywalker 1982.
St. Louis for David Abrams. Thank you.
Mark Fauser from the Facebook says Indiana, Tucson, Arizona. We got a Cardinals fan in multiple ways, I'm guessing, for Terry Moore.
Flowery Branch, Georgia, Northeast Atlanta.
Wow. All right.
Thanks for being part of the show. And we do appreciate it. Tell your friends. And we love bringing you information. And we love to point out that head should roll when you lose to the Colorado Rockies. When you get shut out by the Rockies twice, and they only have 2 shutouts all year long, head should roll. There should be a price to pay. And we're going to hold people accountable for the fact that the Cardinals got shut out by the Colorado Rockies.
Yeah, we're going to hold a lot of people
In fact, you know what?
We're going to fire all the people that we have the power to fire.
Here's the thing. Yeah, we are. But here's the other thing. And I can guarantee you this because I got a little bit of juice in this town. I've been around, I don't think, Matthew, that John Mozeliak should come back next year as the Cardinals president of baseball operations. And I'm going to try to make sure that happens, that he is no longer, after this season, the Cardinals president of baseball operations. What do you think?
Are you ready?
You think I can make it happen?
I want him on the charter flight back with Colorado when the Rockies leave town.
There you go. Okay, so heads are going to roll. Morrison, Colorado. This could be Ben. Thank you very much. Salt Lake City, Michael Telemark. Thank you very much for being a part of the show. Kirkwood, the office 9 feet away. Okay, for David Green. That's pretty good. Apache Junction, Arizona. Bill Downton, thank you very much for being here. Reedville, South Carolina. Born and raised in Cape Girardeau. Jeff Miller, thank you.
Hold on a second. This could be Ben says, I can see Red Rocks from my front yard. Can I come visit?
Really, no doubt.
Because please, that's an incredible place to live.
Fantastic.
Reedville, South Carolina, born and raised in Cape Girardeau.
Great.
We got somebody from the Northampton area. I'm Southampton, so obviously we're born to be enemies forever.
Hello, Stephen Scott in Dallas, Texas.
We're everywhere. You know what? We need to do a little thing. We should do like a little map of America right here.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Yeah. Put like pins everywhere we know we have at least one listener.
With a Sharpie.
Yeah. There we go. I like that.
Yeah.
Just a little circle.
Yeah.
A little dot.
Yeah. Circle the places that got hit by a hurricane like Kansas City.
Oh, no, Randy.
Look at this. Doobie Doo Doo is fishing in Juneau, Alaska. That is incredible.
What do we think the weather is like in Juneau, Alaska?
He'll tell us. Jay Reinegade in Washington, D.C.
It seems like it's a high of 63. It's currently 51 in Juneau, Alaska. That sounds wonderful. By the way, that's the first edition. That's actually Wether Watch with an A.
Yeah.
But later on in the show, we might have the first edition of Wether Watch.
By the way, isn't it like 5 a.m. in Juneau? I think so. Is it a 5 hour or is it a 4 hour difference? I was in Anchorage not going to tell the story, but I was in Anchorage for 9/11, and I remember the time zone being a time zone that I had never been in before.
We have you scheduled to tell that story this year.
Okay. On 9/11.
On the Thursday. So that'll be a nice little story time of what happened to you on that incredible day.
Yeah, me and Chris Kerber. Well, last night at the ballpark, the Cardinal offense was rather flaccid, and they lost 3-0 to the Colorado Rockies. And
they shut out a lot of people, though. That's what that team does.
Give us your line, though, about the other team being on scholarship, too.
They're on scholarship, too.
Yeah, the Rockies are, even though they're bad, they are trying. And the Cardinals, the Cardinals are they're epically average. Okay, they're going to finish probably 81-81. And they're going to beat some good teams, like they're going to win 2 out of 3 against the Dodgers that you don't expect. And they're going to lose to some bad teams. They're going to get shut out twice by the Rockies that you don't expect. And that's part of being a young, very average team. And the other thing that I had last night, actually a much bigger concern to me than the inconsistency of the offense, because I expect it from a young group that's still trying to find its way. I wonder what's up with Matthew Liberatore, because he was there in the 90s during the first 3 innings, started to decline in the 4th, then he gets in the 5th, and he's gone from 95 to 90, 89, and he doesn't know why it's happening. And I hope, Matthew, that the Cardinals know why this is occurring. I remember when the Cardinals turned Todd Worrell into a closer, it was because he didn't have the stamina to maintain velocity after like the 4th or 5th inning. So they put him in the bullpen. He became obviously a 99-mile-an-hour closer. And he just didn't have that ability to be a hard thrower for 7, 8, or 9 innings. Last night, I think it was right around the 40 pitch mark that Liberatore started to decline. And not that he's done that all year long, but I wonder if it's a matter of him working his way up to a point where he can pitch for 6 months and still be solid, and most importantly, 7 months, get into October. Or is he a guy that is just that guy? And we won't know until next year, but obviously he's going to have to go on some sort of a program during this offseason. Maybe this is another reason the Cardinals should have Chris Carpenter on their payroll, because Chris Carpenter would help a guy like that understand what it takes to be great for a whole season.
Yeah, I just think we're seeing why the Cardinals have had such a tried and true regimental way of bringing up pitchers, adding 20 to 40 innings each year, because it's a material thing that can wear on guys. And Jay Reinegade says Libby's just tired, man. Aaron G, 3-run loss, 0 for 9 with runners in scoring position, not Libby's fault. I think we're just seeing a guy who just can't. He just doesn't have 6 innings in him with when he has to ramp up with his warm-ups and his preparation for a start. He just doesn't have 6 innings in the arm right now. And that's to no fault of his own. I'm not going to judge him or what he is as a pitcher. This is why they've had the ramp-ups, and this ramp-up's a little hard for him right now. I think Ali Marmol has said it in interviews on KMOX and on 101. This Libby start was going to determine their next few moves. And the thing they've been talking about is using Kyle Leahy as a piggyback. Now, when they use the phrase piggyback, I think when in the chat last time we mentioned piggybacking in July, people were using it as a way of like saying having a relief pitcher or having a starter go like a scheduled 3 innings and then having a guy immediately like scheduled
like
to go
spring training,
right on like spring training. The Cardinals piggybacking is actually more of kind of what we saw with Liberatore, whereas they move a player into the 6-man rotation, but they still run it as a 5-man rotation where just a guy gets their start skipped every once in a while. And so I think that's where we're going to see Kyle Leahy get added into the quote unquote rotation to piggyback Liberatore starts.
100%. And you're exactly right. So Liberatore, and the question I would ask, and we'll have to find out, are they going to give him a specific amount of innings or pitches, or is it going to be like last night when he started to decline and it became clear, like once he gets down to 92 with the 4-seamer, do you then have Leahy up? I would think that they have the data to show in his recent starts when Liberatore has started to decline. So my guess would be that he will be on a concrete amount of pitches. And then once let's just say it's 40 pitches. When he gets to 30, they'll have Leahy up and throwing.
Well, but I think the rationale, because my first thought process was, why not use it as, why doesn't Liberatore just have a pitch limit each start, and then you use a coordinated bullpen effort behind him? And I think the why it makes more sense to like skip starts is that if he has short starts, he still has to go through his entire warm up, which is throws on the arm. Whereas if he's just skipping a start, he's resting, and now he's not warming up every time. So if he there's still an amount of wear on the arm that comes from warming up to be a starter. So even the idea of saying we're going to give you a start every turn of the rotation, but you're only going to go 3 innings, that still means every 5 days he has to ramp his arm up to to pitch. Whereas this way, he can now go 7 or 9 days between having to ramp his arm up. And I think that's why it makes more sense instead of what people were joking about with Fetty and Michaelis, just like shortening his starts to 3 innings.
Well, here's an interesting idea. And actually, Tony La Russa and Dave Duncan did this with Oakland back in the 90s, 1993, in the middle of the season. They went 11 consecutive games in July without a start of more than 5 innings. And essentially what they had was a 3-man rotation. And now if you have a 3-man rotation and a 10-man bullpen, and your bullpen consists of people that can give you some innings, why not give that an opportunity? If you only have, I guess, let's say Palante and Liberatore right now are people that you don't have confidence in giving you more than 3 innings. So you would have Gray as a more than 3 inning guy, depending on which start it is. You would have Michaelis and then McGreevy. But if you decide, okay, Liberatore and Palante are at the end of their rope in terms of stamina for this season, how about doing that? How about not having the piggyback, but just going to a 3-man rotation and almost setting it up like spring training for a while?
Yeah, I think the only it's just just the ramp up factor of the everydays. I think the only is the big difference between like the piggybacking like starts on top of starts as opposed to piggybacking with skipping starts. And I think that's where it makes sense now. But I mean, give credit to the Cardinals over this last year. They've seemed like they've understood and had a plan on how to handle these pitchers. And Matthew Liberatore now is at a 30-inning jump from where he was last year, just when you talk about major league innings. He was at 86 last year. He's at 117 this year. That's a pretty big jump for him. It makes sense to start really tapering him off now. I know you don't like it because you're still only 4 games out of the wild card, but you got to pull the trigger. If best case scenario is going to be, as we have it here from Keith Duncan in the chat, is you get 2 or 3 more good starts and maybe Quinn Mathews gets something in September, and now you have an arm where you can say, oh, we can give him 5 2/3. We can let him go 6 1/3 without any issues with his arm right now. That would be one of the positives.
You're staying traditional.
I'm still staying a little traditional.
Okay. Let me just work with me here. I don't know if the pitchers would be comfortable, but if you would go to a 3-man rotation, like every 4th day, you have Gray or Michaelis, and I guess you don't want to gamble probably with McGreevy, but they're throwing like 60 pitches every 4th day. I wonder if that's doable. Gray probably not, right? Because of his attention to detail and the routine that he is steeped in. You probably couldn't do it with Sonny.
Is it doable without a more robust and because of the rules of how call-ups work now? Like, do you need a more robust like Memphis shuttle situation where you can have a reliever every week that you've got replenishing with?
If you do it, you've got 10 relief pitchers though.
That's true. I feel like though we're ignoring the reality of like a game where you have to use like 5-6 relievers, because they're all getting their teeth kicked in. And what happens like if you have like 2 of those games within like a 6-day span?
Yeah, well, you have a Brad Thompson. You have a 7 up, 7 down guy.
There you go. Okay.
You miss having Fetty here, because he would have been perfect for that.
Another Myers family gets their trip to St. Louis a little bit ruined as they watch their son get the crap torn out of him right in front of them.
Mike Myers.
Yeah, Mike Myers.
Oh yeah, that's
just the sacrificial lamb
against the Doyers
in front of his family, Ranty, in front of his family.
Not great.
Brian Canfield II. Last night was embarrassing. This team plays to their competition. I know. That's why we're holding people accountable, Brian.
Yeah, we are.
We're going to fire everyone we have the power to fire.
Yep, we are, and we're good. There's Nancy Renee. Good morning, STL. We're asking people where they're checking in from today. Let's see. Bill Downton shut out twice by the Rockies. Yeah, it's not great. I love the fact that we've got so many people from so many different areas. Gray doesn't like to pitch when it's too hot, Ellipsis 150 writes. Too wet, or if there's a rain delay. Good luck telling him he's going to pitch every third game.
Can we?
You're right.
We give a little bit of credit to Sonny Gray?
He was good the other night. Yeah.
Not only that, but arguably, since the start of July, his two best starts are starts where his timing has been screwed with.
Yeah.
He had to wait. He had to wait an extra day, and then he went out there and gave us a Glavin complete game.
Mm-hmm.
And then last night, again, his start gets screwed with. And I know the bar for starts since July 1st is very low for him. He's had a lot of bad ones, but nonetheless, his two best starts in the last month and a half have been games where his timing has been screwed with. Credit to where credit's due. Sonny Gray seems to be at least pushing past some of the routine Jaime Garcia attitudeness, if you will.
So, yeah, Jaime, if his breakfast order was wrong, it would throw off his day and ruin his start. So yeah, not quite to that level with Sonny Gray.
Soggy Cheerios really messed with his changeup drop. It just wouldn't move after if his Cheerios were just a little off.
Yeah. So hey, the big thing here, and we can talk all we want about the starting rotation and our concerns about Matthew Liberatore. And like I said, for me, it is a bigger issue. But last night, the offense clearly was an issue, and the Cardinals had 6 hits. Freeland was really good, but the Cardinals also did not come through when they had the opportunities. And I know Brant Brown focuses on that, but the young players have to be better. And I wonder, like with a guy like Gorman, I was wondering this as I watched the game. Are these players, when somebody like Contreras leaves the game with an injury, are these players so into the game, and I don't know the answer to this, that they're prepared to mentally go in there? Or is it like you go up to the plate, you haven't been watching, you haven't been paying attention, not accusing Gorman of anything, but I wonder how into the game bench players are when they think they're going to get the night off and then somebody gets hurt and then they show up at the plate, because it kind of looked like that first strikeout just kind of looked like he wasn't ready for it.
Yeah, and he dialed it in and got the double on the in the next one.
Yeah, he did.
That's a good point. Obviously, Donnie doesn't feel that way. Yoel Pozo doesn't feel that way.
No,
they're locked in, ready to roll.
Some guys are different, but I wonder if sometimes when you've been playing regularly and then all of a sudden you are on the bench and you think, oh, this is a day off. I wonder if it takes a while to get into the groove. And like you said, some people are just always into it. Donovan is going to be one of those guys. Pozo clearly is one of those guys. And there are players that are always going to be into it, but there are some, I think I would be one of those guys that would be distracted and probably not thinking about it. And then when I get this surprise, the guy gets hurt and I'm in the game, then I got problems.
Let's turn to 13-man staff. Every pitcher throws 1 inning with a rotating 4 that gets a game off.
Okay. Good. See, we're thinking.
I feel like, again, if we did the math here and we extrapolate this to like the 5th day of doing this, I feel like we're going to be, again, it's not the pitch count isn't going to be stretching these pitchers, but asking a pitcher to consistently for the next month to get up in the bullpen every other game, and then also not just warm up, but pitch in every other game, I feel like that's going to bite you in the ass. And I think like by week 2.
What happened in Oakland with La Russa and Duncan? So they had everything mapped out. So Todd Van Poppel, Ron Darling, and Kelly Downs were the starters. And then the next group after them were Mike Moeller, Bobby Witt Sr., of course, and John Briscoe. So those guys were pitching ostensibly the second 2 or 3 innings. Then the remaining 4 pitchers, so you only had a 10-man staff. Eckersley was the closer, and you had 3 kind of wild cards. And those 3 would be regular relievers, but no starter would go beyond 50 pitches, and 3 pitchers in each platoon would pitch every 3rd game. It's an interesting thought, but I don't think now that teams would have the guts to pitch guys every third game. And I think agents would probably go bananas if their pitcher was throwing 50 pitches every third game.
Yeah, I think my question would be, if you're an agent right now and I have a pitcher and my choice is between having him sign with a team doing that or with the Colorado Rockies, I think I might pick the Colorado Rockies.
Oh yeah.
Which round do I put him in? The home run alley where no one ever succeeds, or do I let him be one of the guinea pigs in this little experiment? I think I'm sending him to Colorado and let him get it and just be like, listen, if you can just keep your ERA below 4, we'll get you another contract. But sending you over there, they're going to break you as a pitcher. I don't think agents are going to want their players to sign there. I don't think players would sign with a team doing something that extreme. I'd like it in the moment, like La Russa kind of choosing in 2011, like, I'm going to break every axiom that people have about relief pitching in baseball to do it with this scheme. But he was also on the way out, and he made those changes hard in the middle of the season. I don't know if you can go into an off season with that plan for a full season, but I do like the idea of that in just like a 1 or 2 month thing for the playoffs. I do think it's interesting.
Let's turn to, we were given the task of thinking outside the box, Rock. I did a cartwheel outside of it.
You did. I'll give you that. You're right.
Yeah. At this rate, says Moger Fogger, at this rate, we need a pitcher that can throw with his foot. Still might have a better ERA than Miles.
He just had a good game. Come on, guys. We're getting more people checking in. Jim Perry's from OKC. Julia May's in Irving, California. We got Morgantown, West Virginia. Fort Wayne, Indiana. Thank you for your service to Brian Ellison. He says he's watching from Scott Air Force Base.
Very nice.
Bubs from New Mexico.
Wow.
No wonder Bubs is always loaded for bear. That New Mexican, he's just bearing down on you.
Yep.
Memphis, Tennessee, from Mogger Frogger. Don't worry, we'll get Brooke Grimsley back so you guys can pal around. They're all over the place today, Randy.
We love having you as part of the show. Okay, so today the Cardinals will take on the Rockies again, and former Cardinal Austin Gomber will go. I like this, by the way. Scott Boras should be drawn and quartered. He has killed pitching in the MLB. No, he has saved pitching in the MLB. And by the way, drawn and quartered that would hurt.
That was technically the point. And the key part about drawing and quartering is that the quartering part is that to send the message is that you then send a piece of the person to the 4 corners of the country to send a message. So I think Yankee Stadium, Dodger Stadium, Wrigley and Busch.
Well, no, I think you got to do Seattle.
They have the second most playoff wins in MLB history. Yeah, I'm not giving that much. They don't get the respect of having a piece of Boras. You're
second most or second fewest?
Second fewest. Sorry.
Okay.
They don't get. They're not relevant enough to get a piece of Boras.
Okay, so Colorado. you got to do them because of
that makes sense because of what they do.
Chris Bryant.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay,
right? Chris Bryant. So it's got to be people. So it's Chris Bryant. It's DC. It's Steven Strasburg.
Okay.
Do we get one? Because we've actually had pretty good luck with Boras.
That's fair. Guys. That's fair. Okay.
Okay. So who else has been screwed over by a Boras guy?
I like you're being very specific with this. I like this.
So we've got Denver. We've got DC. Was Jacoby Ellsbury a Boras guy? I don't think he was.
That's a good question.
But that might have been like the worst contract in the history of the sport.
Crawford?
He wasn't a Boras guy.
Jacoby Ellsbury was a Boras Corporation. Okay. Nicely done.
And then can we do Tyler O'Neill this year?
There we go. I like this.
Is there a picture that we could use?
Those are the 4 places we're sending the pieces.
Okay, so we're going to DC, Baltimore, Denver, and what was the other one that we just came up with? DC, Baltimore, Denver. Who did we? Oh, New York.
New York.
Yeah. Okay, this is fun. I like this.
This is. New Mama says, shout out from the roof of the Millennium Hotel. An incredibly nice, good reference. Nice. Did you see that story yesterday?
No. Are there still plants growing there?
No, there was a person.
No way.
On the roof of the Millennium Hotel. Somebody living downtown was cooking their dinner in their apartment, and they looked out of the window and they saw a person sitting on top of the Millennium Hotel.
That's unbelievable. That's truly amazing. I remember going to the top of it was, what was it?
The rotating.
It was the Clarion, and then something else before the Millennium. Yeah, but the rotating restaurant up there was pretty cool.
I went to the rotating restaurant one time. My grandpa was born on Leap Day. And so for his 20th, for his
Uh-huh.
21st birthday, we went to the we went to the
What'd you think?
rotating restaurant. I was like 6.
Oh,
I have
cool.
I have no concept of whether or not the food was good or anything like that.
Okay.
I need to find this picture of the guy on the Millennium Hotel to show Randy.
Okay, well, I want to see this, and I also want to get the chat from Skywalker 1982 up there. Why do people care how deep a starter goes so much? Is the game more exciting if a starter goes 8 innings versus 6 or 7? That's a really good point. And so name drop here. We did an interview. We used to do an interview. I guess we can still do it every year with Bob Costas on opening day of the season. And one time, Bob made a great point about how one of the charming aspects to baseball was the great pitching pairing. The Steve Carlton versus Bob Gibson once Carlton went to the Phillies. The Fernando Valenzuela versus John Tudor. The Tom Seaver versus Don Drysdale. People actually bought tickets and went to games to watch a great pitching matchup, which does not exist for the most part anymore. The other day, we had the shell of one with Scherzer versus Kershaw. But back in the day, yeah, that was really exciting because, and it was different because you didn't have the DH. And so if you had a 1-0 or a 1-1 game in the 7th inning, then you start, when does he pitch hit for this pitcher that's having a great outing? And I got to tell you, when I was a young broadcaster, those Tudor versus Gooden matchups when the Cardinals played the Mets were awesome. And I loved that. And I miss that. And I think it was part of the charm of the sport that will never return now because you don't have pitchers in the game long enough to say, okay, I'm going to go and watch the game. There was a story one time where people would go to watch a pitcher, okay? And old Jack Buck story. But in the 70s, the Cardinals were in New York to play a doubleheader. And a woman was there with her boyfriend, and the boyfriend was dealing with depression. And between games or late in the first game, jumped from the concourse on the second level to his demise on the cement below at Shea Stadium. And it happened like right behind where the press box and broadcast booth were. And so the police are getting all the information, and they talked to the woman, and she said, yeah, he was dealing with depression, but he never said anything. I had no idea that he was going to do it. And ultimately, as the story was related to me by Jack, they said to the woman, can we do anything for you? Do you want to ride home? And she said, oh, no, I'm going to stay for the second game because Seaver's pitching. How awesome is that? But that is why.
Wait.
So that goes to the point of people actually appreciating starting pitching and a great starting pitching performance.
The person, she came to the game with that person.
With her boyfriend.
And he
committed suicide. He jumped to his death.
And she stayed and watched the second game.
They asked her if she wanted to ride home, and she said, oh, no, thank you, but I'm going to stay and watch the second game. Okay. I want to watch Seaver pitch.
I understand that the point of this story was to talk about how people love starting pitching. I have a different take on this. What year was this again?
Late 60s, early 70s.
Okay. Thank you for accurately describing my take, which is, what the hell was going on in this country from the 70s and 80s? People were insane back then. The mass psychosis that took over this country for 20 years. People talk about a mental health crisis now. Mm-hmm. Somebody watched their boyfriend die and said, apparently without tears in their eyes, said, no, I'll watch the second game. What kind of broken soul was this person dating? This is monstrous stuff.
Well,
what happened to apathy? What happened to caring?
Okay,
what happened to dating people you cared about? Good Lord.
All due respect, broken soul. How could you not wait until after Seaver pitched? Right? That's a broken person.
Well, afterwards.
Bibles and barbecue. That's savage. Graham, if the Arch fell over right before prime Chris Carpenter was pitching, I'd be staying too. Graham, I am with you 1,000%. Man, I miss him.
You guys are
Savage is
that is monstrous stuff. That I'm sorry, but if I was one of the police officers, I would be like, we're gonna need you to come with us because this is no longer a suicide in my mind. You were a part of it.
No, she didn't know. She was there to watch a game. She was. I don't even know who pitched the first game, but she was there to watch.
Nancy Renee. Seriously, no wonder he jumped. Exactly, because his girlfriend was a monster. Good Lord.
Okay.
I don't think we're focusing on the Bubs. Okay. I think there was some underlying relationship issues. I would have to think so. Just to be, or just you are such a locked-in baseball fan that you're like, listen, I got time to mourn about that, but I also have Tom Seaver about to start a game in front of me.
Maybe he wasn't a fan, and maybe what you need to do as a couple is make sure that the partner is an intense fan, that is watching games on a regular basis. Maybe he wasn't as big a fan as she was.
My Cardinal fandom ended a relationship, Randy.
Oh, that's right. It did.
Yeah, like I dated a girl who absolutely hated the fact that I was a Cardinal fan. We went to a Cards-Cubs game in Wrigley. Yadier Molina hits a game-winning home run, and I was extremely happy. And apparently, my pure happiness of seeing the Cardinals win, that was the last straw. Because it ended pretty soon after that. And that's why I don't like Chicago.
Good for you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, Christian Howell, back to baseball. Question for both Randy and Matthew. If you had the choice of signing either Cease or Gallen, who are you signing if you are Chaim? Okay, all things being equal, I still think, despite what he's doing this year, that Dylan Cease is a stud. He's a big-time swing and miss guy. And even this year, even though the numbers aren't great, he's a big-time swing and miss guy. Now, he doesn't have the playoff pedigree that Zach Gallen does. There's a lot to be said for and to like about Zach Gallen. But I think on two fronts, number one, I really like the competitiveness of Dylan Cease. I think I've always been a fan, so that'd be one reason. And I don't want to take anybody else away from the poor Diamondbacks. I mean, they've gotten rid of their guys. They trade their guys to Seattle, and Seattle goes on this incredible run. So I want the Diamondback fans to be able to keep their guy too. So that's why I want Dylan Cease here in a Cardinal uniform.
Yeah, I'd take Dylan Cease. All things equal, I'd take Dylan Cease over Gallen. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Gallen's a great pitcher. I like a lot of things about him, but to your point, even at his worst, even when he's struggling now, Dylan Cease still is over 11 strikeouts per nine. His entire career, pretty much, he's been a double-digit strikeouts per nine guy. I like Zach Gallen, but he's around 8 or 9. Even in some of his best years, he's crossed 10 a couple times. But just clearly to me, the floor of Dylan Cease, and you're gonna have to pay a lot to get either of these guys. And so if I'm paying a lot, I need a low floor in addition to a potentially high ceiling. 99 times out of 100, unless the Gallen price is so much cheaper, I go with Dylan Cease.
Yeah. This could be Ben. Gallen has spoken out how he didn't like how the Cardinals were run, and then he got traded away. I highly doubt he would come back. Well, it'll be different leadership. Mo won't be here anymore. And I remember what you're talking about. Gallen said that he thinks he got traded because he went to a wedding rather than instructional league or something like that. I believe that's what it was. And he does not have good feelings about the Mo regime, but the Mo regime isn't going to be in place anymore. So I wonder if some of those people that had bad feelings about the Cardinals under the John Mozeliak tenure might feel a little bit differently with Chaim Bloom. And really at the end of the day, and we get a chat that the Cardinals won't pay that. They won't. You're right. But at the end of the day, I don't think it matters to players as long as they're getting paid.
Yeah. That's what I think matters as well too. And listen, you have now the flexibility of that was the old regime. This is the new regime. Let's have a conversation. And that's going to be powerful, I think, in arbitration discussions. That's going to be powerful in contract discussions. That's going to be powerful in free agent discussions. This is a new era. And we might have gotten into it, as Buster Olney called a little clumsily, but we're in it anyway. Let's keep making moves.
Let's turn to just Hader to the IL. Made me wonder, has any Cardinal pitcher been on the IL this year? I know the rotation is a no. I don't believe, except for Zach Thompson, who was put on before the season started, I don't think there's another. Is there a Cardinal reliever that has been placed on the IL?
Not for arm issues, but John King went to the IL.
Oh, that's right. He is. That's right.
But again, John King went to the IL. The only Cardinals major league pitcher to hit the IL at any point this season, John King, and he did it not in a throwing arm issue. It was a I don't even think it was an upper body. I think it was a lower body issue with John King. So like they've kept every one of their pitchers healthy from the waist up, which is just
pretty remarkable.
It's unbelievably remarkable. And like I said yesterday, I ran across a quote where John Smoltz was talking about how a team needs to figure out how to do this. And so that's going to be one of my biggest questions for anybody in the organization this year is I understand you guys held back and put pitch caps and inning caps on players, but what was the day-to-day? Did you guys change how they warmed up? Did you change how they recovered? There has to be other things other than just pulling back pitch counts that led you guys to having arguably one of the most successful seasons in the last 25 years of baseball history.
Ollie said that they had a tremendous amount of data, and the Cardinals do expect that they're going to be asked about this. And heck, if I'm another team, one thing I might do is go to Mo when he's not here anymore and at least have him be a consultant. Say, how did you do that?
Yeah.
Because he would know that.
I think you're going to keep the cards pretty close to the chest on what they did.
Yeah, I think the Cardinals probably will. Yeah. Seems like Gallen was a little unnecessarily bitter about that. Usually not a great look to badmouth your former team. No, but he hops on that. He was on the Przezinski show, right? The what's it called again? Some Foul Territory.
Yes.
Yeah, he was on that, and they. I think that's kind of an anti-Cardinal show anyway, and I think anytime they can get a guy on there to say bad things about,
they have Katie on like every week. They have Katie on every week. I think I think she has a podcast on their network.
I mean, those guys hate Mozeliak, and anytime they can get a former player to say something bad about Mo, I think they do it.
Jeremy Hodge corrects me. So the Cardinals have been good from about the upper chest and up because the John King injury was an oblique. So I can't say waist up. I gotta say I gotta say upper chest and up.
Okay, an oblique isn't an arm though. Do we have video of the Wetherholt home run?
We do not know. We'd get in trouble for that.
Oh, we would. Darn it. I mean, they put it on X, so you can find it.
Yes, you can.
But J.J. Wetherholt hit another home run last night, 419-footer at Charlotte. He has 7 homers in 83 AAA at-bats. And Joe and Matthew were talking about this on the pregame show. So Friday is the day that MLB franchises can call up minor leaguers for their major league debuts while still maintaining their rookie status for next year. That's the day amount that they can do. Now, here's a fun rule in the new CBA, not the new because it's about to expire, but if a consensus top 100 prospect either wins Rookie of the Year next year or earns a top 3 finish in MVP or Cy Young Award voting in their first 3 seasons, the team is awarded a prospect promotion incentive draft pick. So you promote somebody before the next year, and if they win one of those awards, they get a draft pick slotted just after the first round of the following season's draft. Do you think the Cardinals could or would be seduced by the possibility of bringing up Wetherholt Friday or after Friday and him winning Rookie of the Year? They think, okay, he's got a great chance to win it so that they could get a draft pick out of it. Could you see? I could absolutely see the Cardinals taking that action to get another pick. The Cardinals have always loved their draft picks. I think that's a distinct possibility, even if they're saying right now, heck, he's only got 83 AAA at-bats. We need to get him more at-bats. I could see them thinking more along the lines of, we want to work in the best interests of the future of the franchise, and an extra number 1 pick is working in the future of the betterment of the future of the franchise.
Absolutely. Yeah. Any chances you can get at the dartboard, as we always say when we were talking about the draft, getting a better chance matters. And as Randy Flores was talking about before the draft as well, having higher draft picks helps because they have a lot more faith in being able to find hitters at higher in the draft. So if you need to be able to find hitters and they need a right-handed bat at some point in the next decade or so to come through, having more higher picks will be good. And this is why it makes sense for Major League Baseball to incentivize it, because now we're having conversations about the 45 days at the end of the season instead of having a conversation like we were with Nolan Gorman a few years ago, which is what day in June can they finally bring him up to be as cheap as possible.
Yeah, I would have to think that there's that possibility. Now, the question becomes, at the major league level, who has at-bats taken away? Because somebody is going to have at-bats taken away. So do you move Donovan to left? Do you tell Burleson, you've shown me enough, okay? Your runway is good. You've taken off. You're going to be part of the team next year. But I still need to learn about Gorman. I still might need to learn about Nootbaar. Heck, I still need to learn about Victor Scott II because he hasn't done enough for me. But Alec, don't worry about it. You're not going to get as many at-bats in the second half of August and September because we're bringing up Wetherholt to take a look at him. But don't worry about it. You're going to lose at-bats. So I could see them doing that way. They may have already made a decision, although Nootbaar is starting in center field today. They may have already made a decision about Nootbaar. I think most of us have, right? We kind of know what he is. So then it's Gorman and Donovan is going to be part of the team. So what you do, you find out as much as you can about Gorman down the stretch, and you play Wetherholt, and you probably play Herrera in left, Wetherholt at third, Gorman is your DH.
It sounds so perfect. I there's something tells me like I'm missing something because it seems so obvious. So why does it not seem like that's the obvious move that's going to be made from the Cardinals' perspective? I have to ask, because you say that, and I feel like I'm not doing this with rose-colored glasses. That seems like an obvious, sensible, logical way to plan things out for the future. But it does not feel like the Cardinals are 100% pushing things towards that.
And you know he's going to be here at some point. He's shown a lot, not only at AAA, but he's owned AAA, and he's going to have another couple of at-bats at AAA. He's already owned AAA with 83 at-bats. So if you have the chance to get a first-round draft choice because you bring him up for the rest of this year on Friday, and it doesn't have to be Friday. It could be September 1st. It could be August 23rd. It could be whatever. But if you have the chance for him to win Rookie of the Year, and you think he's going to, and you have all these algorithms, all this data that can show you who the best rookies are going to be next year, why not take the chance on winning yourself an extra number one pick? I would do it.
Yeah, there's no reason not to. The one thing I will point out is that if you break down a lot of the pitching, JJ Wetherholt has not been challenged by a lot of the pitching that he's hitting these home runs off of. That's the only thing I would circle if I'm the Cardinals, is that has he seen things that have prepared him to take the jump from AA to Major League with his time in AAA, and either he's that good and he just makes all these pitching look like it's like softball, or he's not being challenged and there might be an issue there.
Yeah,
one of the two has to be true, because I mean he's getting meatballs down the middle. And he's cranking.
Yeah.
But I mean, how often is that really going to happen when at the major league level?
One other chat here, Terrell Whitener. Randy, have you had the chance to speak to Bloom one-on-one? Actually, I did a Sabre event with Chaim last fall.
That's now Sabre. That's analytics.
Society for American Baseball Research.
Oh, that sounds like analytics.
Yeah, well, it's research, and it's knowledge, and knowledge is good. Knowledge is power. So yeah, I had dinner with Chaim, and then I was the MC for the event, and he's a really good guy. I think you'll enjoy hearing from him. He has great ideas. He's a fan as much as he is a front office person. But I think for the front-facing front office person of your organization, he's a really good choice for the Cardinals.
Yeah, and I think when you hear how people around Major League Baseball talk about him, I think there's a lot of positivity. Again, Buster Olney was just on 101 talking about how a lot of people around Major League Baseball think it's kind of odd how the Cardinals have handled the handover to Chaim Bloom. And I think part of that is because a lot of people in baseball were like, if you're going to hire Chaim, he's had a lot of success. Why not give him the keys to the ship?
And the reason for that, and I wish I could have talked to Buster about this, is that they wanted Chaim Bloom to build the minor league system first. The first year he observed, had a chance to check out the entire organization. The second year, he's working on the entire minor league system. He brought in new people to run the minor league system. He's traveling around and learning all the players in the system. And the way I look at it is it's kind of like being the architect of an expansion franchise. And then next year will be kind of like him inheriting a major league team with a club that's better than an expansion franchise. But normally when you take over an organization that had as many organizational issues as the Cardinals did in the system, it's kind of like drinking from a fire hose. And I don't think the Cardinals wanted him to be in that situation. So they allowed him to ease in, learn the system, determine what his course of action was going to be with the minor leagues, get that all taken care of. It's not complete, but he knows exactly what he wants to do. And then next year is when he starts to work at the major league level. And let's never forget this. The Cardinals don't like to pay people to not work for them. And John Mozeliak had a year left on his contract. And I don't think that the Cardinals loved the idea of having Mo be out there, maybe even working for somebody else while they were paying him. And I think that probably gives Oli Marmol a little extra a chance to be back next year too, because I don't think the Cardinals will want to pay him. And I by the way, I think he's done a really good job. And I don't think that he's done enough to cause him to be fired. I think that if Chaim Bloom thinks that he's good enough, I think he should. I know there's guilt through association there, but I think he's done a good job. And I have no problem with Oli coming back as manager. But I think if it comes down to Bloom saying, I'd like to have a new manager, but I'm okay with Oli, I think the front office would probably say, well, we would prefer that he play out the last year of his contract.
That would make sense.
Yeah.
And I would I'll put a little money before the end of this baseball season, right on that screen there, you'll be talking to Buster Olney. I'm gonna put some money on that. You'll be able to ask Buster Olney that question about the Cards management change in the oddities behind it.
Oh, what?
Not today. I'm saying before the end of the season, you'll be able to ask him that question. I'll make sure that happens.
Yeah. you mama. They could have moved Mo to one of the concession stands. Come on now. Let's be nice. Let's be nice. Also, if there's nothing positive in losing, how do you explain the fall? The fall of like the season, the fall?
I think he's more just just this fall, I guess, because we had it was a chat we got a little bit earlier from somebody saying there's no positives to be taken from losing.
Well, here's the thing. You can draw positives from games and seasons in which you don't win.
Yes.
Because here's the thing. You could have brought back Goldschmidt, right? You could have had Paul DeYoung at shortstop this year. You could have brought back, you had options on Lynn and on Kyle Gibson. And you could have had those three with Michaelis here and Gray. You could have had another rotation of 37-year-old guys. So rather than that, you've got a young group of players that you're learning about. I think it's a positive that Jordan Walker has been getting better. I think it's a positive that we're learning more about Gorman and he's getting better. I think it's a positive that Mason Wynn is going to get 550 at-bats and he's getting better. I think what we've seen from Donovan and him going to an all-star game, I think that's a positive. I think even though you've lost the games, I think that from my perspective, you've drawn positives for 2026. It hasn't been positive for 2025 because you aren't going to win the World Series. But with the way the Cardinals are set up and the way Major League Baseball is set up right now, Cardinals weren't going to go out and sign Juan Soto. They were not going to go out and get Shohei Ohtani. They are not going to sign Scherzer and Verlander to $43.5 million contracts to start for them. So what you need to do, if you're not going to be able to sign those guys, is build through youth, have them grow up, unfortunately, at the major league level. But that's the positive that you're drawing, is that you're seeing young players grow up. You're learning about them. You know who you can win with, and most importantly, who you cannot win with, and start the process of replacing the guys that you can't win with.
So I'm aware that the Pobo was on the air over with Tim and the gang on TMA.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm being told in the chat, and I'm finding now a post on Twitter that's saying, based on most comments, you shouldn't expect JG or Quinn Mathews called up in September. As Mo said, it doesn't seem to be in the best interest of the club, given the amount of 40-man players they may want to add this winter.
Well, that's absolutely an issue because they have like 47 guys.
Yeah.
For the 40-man. But I was just thinking of for the future. And by the way, I can find plenty of guys to take off the 40-man in favor of JJ Wetherholt.
We went through and found how many? Like 12?
Yeah.
Pretty easy.
And I know what he's saying because they love their players more than we love their players. But I was just thinking of the future first-round draft choice. So you're going to save a guy, a 40th guy, you're going to save the next Barrero or the next Ryan Valade so that you can not have JJ Wetherholt up here. I think that's foolish, especially because of the incentive you have if you bring Wetherholt up and he is the rookie of the year next year. That's why I would do it. I would do it. I don't need to see more Ryan Valades and Jose Barreros. And that's really what you're talking about, is preserving those guys for the future. Do you really need to preserve Tekoa Roby? He's never been healthy. If he goes somewhere and gets healthy and pitches, then good on him and good on the team that gets him. But I think that over a 6-year career, when he's never pitched a full season, I think that he's shown us what he is.
Sam Robertson is another one.
Right,
It's like
right.
he hasn't even really showed us what Tekoa Roby has. He's another guy you can kick off the 40-man, opens up spots.
Mm-hmm.
Are you? I mean, are you really dying that the chance Prieto might be a good player is what you really need? I mean,
right.
you just gotta give Cesar Prieto just one more chance
instead
of playing the guy who, to our point, is again, one of the there's two sides of this coin, but one side of the coin is that he's making every single pitcher he goes up against in AAA look like they're a softball pitcher. So what else do you want to see from the guy? Like, this is I hate when we have to make excuses for a young player's talent, and whether it's we don't want to push them too forward because we're worried about overexposing them, or whatever the reason is going to be, because the roster has other questions and we have to find out about them. You have to answer your biggest questions first.
And the last thing, Matthew, that I would be thinking about is the 40-man. I would have a better feeling about the Cardinals saying, we just need to get him more at bats at AAA.
Yeah,
we feel like we don't. I can buy that.
Yeah, in fact, if they said something along the lines of like he hasn't been challenged at AAA, we need to see him be challenged first. We want something like that. I'd be fine.
Yeah, we want to see him deal with adversity. 100%.
The 40-man, that's your excuse. The 40-man.
Yeah, that's not a good excuse. Hey, did you know a legendary weekend is coming to St. Louis? Don't miss the Stifel Charity Classic. It's presented by Compliance Solutions, September 4th through 7th, right here in North County at beautiful Norwood Hills Country Club. The historic Norwood Hills Country Club is fantastic, and you can watch PGA Tour champions tee it up and compete. Some of the names that are going to be here at the top of the leaderboard from last year, along with winner Y.E. Yang, Bernhard Langer, Stuart Sink, Justin Leonard, Chris DeMarco, Darren Clark, and more. Plus, you can enjoy a live performance by music sensation O.A.R. at Friday's community concert presented by CarShield. Tickets start at just $20. Kids, military, veterans, and first responders get in free. Get your tickets today at StifelCharityClassic.com. That's STIFEL, StifelCharityClassic.com, StifelCharityClassic.com. And we will see you at Norwood Hills September 4th through the 7th for the Stifel Charity Classic.
Woo, woo, woo. It's going to be a great time. Going to be a great time. And coming up later on in the show, in about 25 minutes or so, around 11:15, we're going to be giving away 2 tickets to the O.A.R. concert that will be out of the Stifel Charity Classic on Friday, September 5th. So stay tuned. We'll have a little Cardinals trivia today. I'll even give you a little bit of the specifics. It'll be a little bit of Cardinals baseball trivia today on our low and away question of the day to win those tickets.
And I hope this doesn't happen at the concert, but I wonder if O.A.R. has ever, with a concert, caused a row.
That was pretty good. You know what? There's a lot of really cheap or jokes you can make, and you worked for that one. So you know what? Credit to you on that one, Randy Karraker. You tried and you put in the effort, and I appreciate that. Thank you.
Was it Guns N' Roses that caused the first the riot? At
yes,
the
I believe it is.
concert
Yes.
at Riverport?
Yes.
Remember that? Holy cow! And then Axl Rose wasn't allowed in town for years. I think they finally came back. I don't know if did they ever perform here or did they get postponed? Because he had to go to court in St. Louis County to perform again, and it was a row over at the very first concert ever. I think 1988-ish.
Okay.
Over at what is now Hollywood Casino Amphitheater, was then called Riverport. A Mizzou, not
it's still called Riverport by so many people.
Oh yeah, it is by me.
Yes, it is by you.
Mizzou was unranked in the preseason top 25. I don't care.
Okay.
Were you bothered?
I was. Listen, no. And it's because like Brendan Schaefer was on the radio show today, and he very artfully made a comment. He just goes, "Listen, it's middle of August, and you still have a quarterback competition." I go, you're saying that soft shoes it. Let's phrase it a different way. You're 15 days out from the season starting, and you don't have a starting quarterback. That's the actual correct, like,
just starting quarterbacks.
Well, then you don't have one. Thank you. God, thank you. That's softball.
Mizzou is the first SEC team with back-to-back 10-win seasons to not be included in the top 20 or 25 since Georgia in 1984. Rare that a college team with a recent resume like that gets left out. This is from Eli Hoff over at STL Today.
Great work.
Fantastic. So it was Washington last year. There have been some other teams, but it can be okay to not be in the preseason top 25. The Tigers, if they take care of business in the SEC, are going to be recognized. 2013, you were there?
Yeah, yep.
Mizzou was unranked before the season. They went 11-1 in the regular season.
That was the year I left.
Played in the SEC championship game, finished 5th in the country. They weren't ranked in the top 25 to start the season. The next year, even though they had been to the SEC championship game the year before, they were 24th. They dropped out of the top 25 from week 7 to 11 and then played in the SEC championship game again and finished 14th in the country. So I'm not as concerned about the top 25 at the beginning of the season as I am at the end of the season.
Yeah, that's when it really matters. But I think there was just a lot of consternation among Mizzou fans. But for me, it's just you can't expect the national media to give you a lot of the benefit of the doubt when you do not have a starting quarterback going into the first week of the season. That's just
don't worry.
I think they'll be fine. Yeah, I'm not worried about that. But I just think the Mizzou fans who were angry about seeing the lack of a ranking, you just got to understand where the rest of the college football media landscape is coming from. It's just they don't have a starting quarterback. Mm-hmm. And here's the thing. How do you take?
But here's the thing. Okay, so what do we know about Ohio State's starting quarterback?
He goes to Ohio State.
Yeah. So I mean,
the difference,
and I think they might. That is. If I'm not mistaken, I don't think they've named a starter yet either.
No, they haven't. But that's the real reason why Mizzou fans are feeling this way is because we are all going to be honest about the fact that there is still the blue blood bias. Where to your point, no one's holding it against Ohio State. They don't have one because everyone just assumes, well, Alabama, he's going to Ohio State.
Alabama just named their guy yesterday. Yep. But here's the thing.
But he's going to Alabama.
This is fine because nationally, Alabama's done it for years. Ohio State's done it for years. Penn State's done it for years. Texas has done it for years. Mizzou, in terms of being a high-quality program, like an upper echelon program, they're relatively new to the game. Now, they had their years under Pinkel, right? And we mentioned 2013 and 14. But in terms of having a consistent program where around the nation, people are going to say they always recruit well. We know that they're going to be a good team. People don't know that yet. And that's the job of Eli Drinkwitz and his staff to bring in those players and keep winning. And once you keep winning for more than 2 years in a row, you're going to be recognized.
Yeah, and there also are some fair questions along the offensive line. You know, they're moving Caden Green now, it looks like, from left guard to left tackle.
I love it.
Connor Tollison hasn't been healthy coming back from the ACL injury. So that consistency we talk about with the offensive line always being sometimes just as important as the actual raw talent level you have. That's been a little bit hurt because Tollison hasn't been able to be in there for full times. Yep. Also, you lose Armand Membu, you get Keegan Trost. And the Keegan Trost thing is interesting to me because I thought that the stat somebody threw out the other day about how Keegan Trost is 3 years older than Armand Membu. You usually don't replace a guy 3 years older in college. But there's again with the two sides of the same coin. One side says I have questions because Keegan Trost has jumped around a lot and clearly isn't the NFL talent. That's why he hasn't made that move yet. The other side of the coin for me is one of the things about now in college, both basketball and football, is when you have a 23-year-old, sometimes they're just going to be physically more mature than everybody else on the field, and that kind of gives them a little bit of benefit of the doubt and kind of lets them play better than they would have when they were 21 years old. So, but there's still some question marks around the offensive line, and that's why I'm not surprised that Mizzou was not ranked.
So he is he's basically, you're referring to the Ty Nsekhe of college football.
I was not expecting a Ty Nsekhe reference. God, I love Ty Nsekhe.
No,
I love Ty Nsekhe. He was his pass. I mean, his form was perfect in those camps. He was perfect. His back was straight up. His butt was low. I mean, kick step was beautiful. Had a nice little NFL career.
Yeah, he did.
I like Tynan
bounced
Secchi.
around
He was
a little
great.
bit. He's basically what we got at right tackle now.
Yeah, you're right. That makes sense.
So, I don't think Mizzou, they knew they were getting a really good player in their new left guard in Dominic Giudice. I don't think they realized how good, and they're surprised, and that's why they're building that left side. They feel comfortable moving Green out to tackle because he's the best athlete there. He's got great feet. And then Giudice is dominant at left guard. So they're really happy about what they have on the left side of that offensive line.
To your point, this isn't going to matter. It's what matters is obviously the actual rankings. But Mary Lykin says the KU game is making me nervous already.
Good.
Bibles and Barbecue says my divorce lawyer was a KU grad. He was soft. Just saying. That's fantastic. I wish Brendan Schaefer was here to read this. KU did get some good news today. They got apparently a huge donation. Kansas Athletics donation, and you were here. KU received a $300 million gift from a longtime donor and alumnus, David Booth. You were here when BJ was on the air when other KU news broke, and this morning when this news broke, I honestly thought that he's like, guys, something bad just happened. I thought that he was about to hit us with something that was going to make like August 13th, like a date that we were all going to have to remember, like 8/13, man. Remember what happened on 8/13? And he just goes, Kansas just got $300 million. Like, Brendan, you can't stop a radio show, guys. I have terrible news. And then it'd be Kansas University gets $300 million. It's a little extreme, but he's a true son, and we respect that about his Mizzou-ness. So Kansas, did just get $300 million to the athletic department. Mizzou, as Doug Armstrong would put it, needs to stab him in the eye and twist the knife. Keep that program down as long as you can, baby.
Well, it's not like they're moving to the SEC.
No, they're not.
So, and don't they have a new stadium? Is there a new stadium up and running?
They have half a new stadium. They have half,
okay,
or 3/4 of a new stadium. They conveniently, Randy, if you notice, they shoot both the end zones, and they're shooting one side of the stadium. But if you notice in all these promo videos, there is one side of the stadium that never, ever gets a single frame.
Oh, really?
On the camera, and I wonder why.
It's not done.
It looks like crap.
Oh, okay.
It looks like a high school stadium. But hey, 3/4 of a stadium. Good job, guys.
Anthony C. points out that Illinois has out-recruited Mizzou. They took a couple of 4-star recruits away. Illinois is going to be really good this year. And philosophically, they're different than Mizzou. Illinois is going harder after high school players, and they want to build their program that way by developing high school players. Mizzou has really become a transfer portal program, and it'll be interesting to see which of the two programs winds up being most successful with the ideas and the philosophies that they're going to espouse.
Randy, we can't get on the screen right now, but I'm on 24/7 and I'm looking at the 2025 recruiting rankings and scroll. I see Mizzou right there at that 20th.
Yeah, that's 20.
Okay, and I'm going to keep scrolling down. I don't see. Oh, there's Illinois, and that's
47.
Gotcha. Okay, just wanted to do a quick little tap in on some of these teams. Let's check out some of these other rankings as well.
Yeah, and that's with the fact that Missouri is in the transfer portal. So we'll see how
2026 Illinois is doing really great. But I had 2025 to dunk on you. Yeah, listen, the recruiting battles have been going back and forth with Missouri, and that's the fun part about it is Illinois steals a St. Louis guy, Missouri gets an Illinois transfer, and everyone just keeps going back and forth. Which, frankly, I am obsessed with it because Illinois and Missouri back and forth is a lot of fun, especially when you know somebody like Kerry Davis who played for them, and he doesn't like it when you get an attitude about Mizzou. Because to your point, if you look at 2027 or 2026, although the 2027 top football recruiting ranking team right now is Sacramento State, so maybe don't take 2027 recruiting rankings for anything. If you look at 2026, Illinois is leading Missouri, and I'm not looking at the transfer portal classes, which is obviously a huge factor as well.
Okay, Aaron Dodson with a chat a little bit earlier. Drink that Kool-Aid. What is and especially at this time of year,
I feel like that was
a nice iced Kool-Aid is delicious.
I feel like that was a Cardinals text.
Oh yeah, I think so. And ironically, my favorite Kool-Aid is red. I do drink the red Kool-Aid because I think it's a fantastic, refreshing respite during a hot summer day in St. Louis. An icy Kool-Aid, ooh.
Including transfers in 2025, Missouri had the 7th overall ranked class in the nation. Illinois came in at 43rd.
Okay, well, I guess Illinois just has not out-recruited Mizzou every year.
Mizzou certainly had a very good portal. But like I said, the 2026 recruiting rankings, which are at a point where they're legitimate, Illinois is doing better than Missouri. Credit to Anthony C on that one.
Bibles and barbecue. I had Illinois in the basketball winning the last few years. So this or next season, probably going to win the dance. And Bibles and barbecue also says we need more Kool-Aid stands. I agree 100%.
I haven't had Kool-Aid in too long. You know what I used to do for a long time? For me, it wasn't Kool-Aid. What got me was high C fruit punch.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know if you know this, but either at Walmart or Sam's, this is back in 2013 when I was in college and the Rams were still in St. Louis. Mm-hmm. They used to sell high C in these big gallons, and they would sell two at a time. And I think you could get them for like $4.50 or something like that. And they have so much sugar in them that what you can do is you can dump out half of one into a pitcher and then mix in water and then get it a good mix, and it still tastes just like fairly sugary Kool-Aid.
Okay.
And so you can take two of those, turn them into 4. And if you're in college and you make no money, it's crucial to have
awesome.
It is crucial to have fruit punch just on deck at all times without having to pay a lot for it. So I was big on the fruit punch as well.
I like that.
I want some fruit punch, man. I haven't had some in forever. Probably a good thing.
So I am going to play a little DraftKings Pick 6 today, simply because I love DraftKings Pick 6, and nothing beats relaxing on a hot summer day, watching baseball like we will today. And the simplest way to get in on the action is to download the Pick 6 app from DraftKings, and it's super easy. Just pick more or less in the stats for 2 or more of your favorite players, and boom, you're in the mix for big cash prizes. Pick 6 available here in Missouri and wherever you might be. And we know that there are a lot of you in a lot of places. So DraftKings Pick 6, use the app, and it should be available for you. And don't settle for smaller payouts. Switch to Pick 6. And right now, new customers get $25 in bonus picks with their first deposit of $5. So $5 in, $25 back when you are participating with DraftKings Pick 6. Okay, so here's one that I like a lot. Brandon Woodruff was off to a great start this year for Milwaukee, came back from injury. He's at 5.5 strikeouts against Pittsburgh. I'm going to go that he gets more than 5.5 strikeouts. I think that's a pretty safe bet. The Pirates are not very good, and Brandon Woodruff is pretty good. You like that one?
I like that one a lot, actually.
More than 5.5 strikeouts.
I mean, rolling with the Brewers pitching is always a good way to go.
I think that, if you do that, you're in pretty good shape. And then I was going to go with Lars against the left-hander. I'm not going to go with Lars against the left-hander. He's playing left field today, by the way, but I'm not going to go with Lars Nootbaar against the left-hander to do good things. So I still want to play the Cardinal game, though. So what do I do? Okay. I'm going to do it. I'm going to play Nootbaar. I'm going to go Nootbaar to go less than 1.5 hits plus runs plus RBIs. And that'll be my play. You like it?
I like that one. Let's go with it.
Okay. So we're doing it. Less than 1.5 hits plus runs plus RBIs for Newt, and Woodruff more than 5.5 strikeouts. DraftKings Pick 6. Download the app now and use the code STL Sports that you see on your screen. That's for new customers to get $25 in bonus picks with your first deposit of $5. Better payouts, bigger wins, only with Pick 6 from DraftKings. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 and over. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick 6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. 1 per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick 6 credits that expire in 14 days. Limited time offer. See terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos.
Matthew, it was 1 year ago today that the St. Louis Blues stunned us and the hockey world when they signed Philip Broberg and Dylan Holloway to offer sheets to get them away from the Edmonton Oilers. And 1 week later, Edmonton decided, we aren't going to match. And the Blues wound up with those 2 terrific players that made a difference in the team. And I really do think that they changed the feeling of the franchise last year and heading into the future, because I really don't think that the Blues expected before they signed those 2 to be a playoff team. But once they made that investment, and they gave up a second rounder, you'll remember, for Broberg and a third rounder for Holloway. Once they made that investment, then they expected to be a playoff team, and they were a playoff team. And I think it expedited the Blues' ascent in terms of their retool.
Yeah, it was an absolutely huge move, and the aggressiveness, making a move that is not usually standard in the league. We've talked about a lot of these things, Randy, zigging when everyone else is zagging, and that's when you find kind of these arenas and these paths that no one else is taking, where you can kind of shortcut things, and that's exactly what the Blues did. They took a door that had a do not enter sign on it, and Doug Armstrong ripped that sign off the door, and the sign said shortcut. And he walked right through that door and he took that shortcut, and it was a beautiful move. I don't care what pissed off. Clearly not enough to actually for them to successfully come after Ville Husso to be their goaltender this past off season. So it was an incredible move at the time. This is why I think so many fans, they can understand the logic points that we try to make and say, well, this is why these moves aren't being made. This is why there's some stagnation. But this is why they can't hear that without getting a little bit angry, because you have a guy who says, I don't care what the normal is. I don't care what we're supposed to do. I see an opportunity and I'm going to take it.
Creativity and aggressiveness. And that's when we talk about Mo, we just wanted more creativity and more aggressiveness, right? And that's what we hope Chaim Bloom brings to the table. And it's wonderful for me that Alexander Steen is learning under the wing of a guy that is probably the most creative and aggressive guy in hockey.
And you know what? We've made some jokes about Doug Armstrong making moves that he's not going to have to pay for, and kind of being like, well, I'm not going to be the one who has to deal with that one. So here we go. The fact that in light of those things, the fact that we have it, that we're calling for an aggression, some kind of aggression from John Mozeliak and not getting it at the end of his term, I think is also doubly frustrating for a lot of fans. It's like, this is your last time. This is you don't have to be responsible for what happens after this year. So why not roll the dice a little bit? Because it feels like Armstrong's been willing to do that, but it doesn't feel like that from the Mo point. And this is why the Blues are ahead of the 8-ball instead of like the Cardinals have been for the last 3 years, well behind it.
Well, and think about the evaluation. And again, think about how the Cardinals evaluated their own guys and how the Blues evaluated Edmonton's guys. And as Army said during the season in one of his press availabilities last season, he said, you know, there is no way if we were offered a number one for Holloway or Broberg that we would trade those guys for a number one pick, and they had given up a second and a third. And part of the brilliance, if you aren't aware of this, it's awesome. So there is a specific dollar amount that causes you to get to the first round draft choice threshold when you sign a restricted free agent in the NHL. What the Blues offered Broberg was $1 below the threshold for a first rounder. So they only had to give up a second. And what they gave Holloway was $1 below the second round threshold. So they wound up getting him for a third rounder. Just another brilliant part of it. And they knew that they had Edmonton backed into a corner because Edmonton had so much tied up in their roster that with the salary cap as it was, Edmonton basically could not afford to keep those two. Now, Edmonton winds up having a really good run again in 24-25. So they didn't lose much for that year, but for the future, they did. And now it's incumbent upon the Blues to not lose those guys who, by the way, are restricted free agents again next season.
Yeah, you have to start locking them up. Duvey says, I'm telling you guys right now that Army made a huge mistake trading Bolduc. He's going to be a superstar and rare player. I absolutely hate this trade. The Cardinals got some. I mean, the Blues got something back though for Bolduc, didn't they? Like there's still the other factor where the player can work out for the Blues, and Bolduc can also work out, and it's not a loss of the trade, i.e., Ryan O'Reilly and Tage Thompson.
I love the sandpaper, the grit that Zach Bolduc brings to the table, and I think the Blues miss that. I don't think that they have that right now, but I think it's more difficult in the NHL to find a rugged right-handed defenseman that's young and has a chance to ascend. More difficult to find that guy than it is to find a winger with grit. So I think Mathews is probably a more rare commodity in the National Hockey League than Bolduc is. I don't disagree with the idea that having it's going to be hard to be better at that position with Bolduc gone. But I think for the long term, you got a 22-year-old that's big, he's tough, and he's a right-handed shot, which is hard to find on defense. I think that is a move for the future that'll wind up working out very well for the Blues. It's not like, but it's not unlike when the Blues traded Brendan Shanahan, rugged, tough, awesome player, for Chris Pronger, who had been the second pick in the draft. and was not developed. It takes defensemen a lot longer to develop than forwards. But the Blues fans, we all hated that deal when it was made. A lot of people still hate that deal, but it wound up being pretty good because you got a Hall of Fame defenseman out of it. So it might be a poor man's Shanny for Pronger.
And just look at it this way. When you talk about projecting this team 4 years in the future, which is what Alex Steen, how he has to think about things and how they have to start making these decisions. 4 years from now, you have your top 4 wingers already. You have Kyrou, Snuggerud, Neighbors. I'm saying 4 years from now.
Oh, yeah.
Kyrou, Snuggerud, Neighbors, Dvorsky.
Mm-hmm.
So Bolduc was you had the depth where you didn't need another winger. 4 years from now, who's your number one right shot defenseman? It might not be Colton Parayko 4 years from now.
Right.
So therefore, you do not have anybody else in the organization nearly to the talent level as Mathews. Therefore, just looking at a projection factor of what do I need, what do I have in my organization, trading Zach Bolduc for Mathews makes a ton of sense. I don't care how good Zach Bolduc is going to be. Was he better than the other 4 wingers I mentioned? Potential-wise as a scorer, obviously not. Therefore, we can get a young right shot defenseman for Bolduc? Do we have any young right shot defenseman? No, we don't. Bing, bang, boom. Now I've got things covered for a potential new window when Parayko, Buchnevich, Binnington are all gone. I'm now building my next window after my current core hits 33, 34, 35 in the next few years.
And more immediately, Bolduc was going to be a third liner on your 25-26 team, right? Because you have Buchnevich here, you have Snuggerud here, you have Kyrou here, and who's you're probably going to who am I leaving? Oh, Holloway.
Yeah.
So you got
Holloway,
4 wingers that we're going to play ahead of him.
I didn't even think about it. You got Dylan Holloway too. You got 5. You got because Dvorsky's the guy who now shouldn't be up, could be a center, but also could be a wing. I didn't even mention Dylan Holloway when I was talking about those 4. So yeah, the projection gets to the point where I absolutely love the move. I understand there's a risk factor, but again, just like the Tage Thompson, trading away a 6'7" center was risky, but it was clearly the right risk to make.
Yep. Let's turn to today's International Left-Handers Day. Anyone else a lefty out there? So I eat and I write left-handed. I swing a golf club right-handed. I throw right-handed because when I was a youngin', the teacher came to me and said, Randy, we live in a right-handed world, and left-handed isn't normal. So I know very few people.
What a dark place that was.
It was.
That's sick.
But so I write and eat left-handed. So I call myself a lefty, but I do everything else right-handed. Thank you. Let's turn to
my dad's a lefty, and my dad, being a baby boomer, got his knuckles wrapped by a ruler, by a nun, when he would do things lefty, and he kept his head down and stayed a lefty. And I've always really appreciated that about him. The only thing I do with my left hand consistently is I scroll on my phone with my left hand for some reason. And I don't know why, because I do nothing else well with my left hand except for I can use a fork pretty well with my left hand considering I'm a righty. Some people I know have a really big issue with switching utensils in their hands. Mm-hmm. I'm ambidextrous with the fork and knife, thankfully.
Bibles and barbecue. I play hockey left-handed, only left-handed thing I do. That is why it's so difficult to find right-handed shooting defensemen, because it's more natural because you want to have your top hand, your dominant hand on top. So apparently it's more natural for a lot of people to use the hockey stick left-handed.
Oh God, if I was ever a hockey player, I would 100% be. Yeah, I wouldn't. I'd 100% be a righty. Yeah, I'd be absolutely be a righty. I much want my more at the bottom of my stick. Oh yeah, that's more comfortable for me. But I play lacrosse too, and I could never figure out how to throw. I could never figure out how to throw stick with my left hand. That feels awkward, and that feels like that feels weird. I couldn't do that.
Chris Widener is with us on the chat. He says Gator alumnus here. Go Gators! But I'm wearing this today. Born and raised. Did you notice that I wore a SLU shirt yesterday and a Mizzou shirt today?
Look at you.
And this is college week for me. I might do Lindenwood tomorrow.
I was going to say.
Yeah. So anyway, Chris Widener, Gator alumnus here. Born and raised in STL. Always a fond place in my heart for Mizzou. James Wilder was my first football hero. James Wilder, the Sykeston Train, was a great football player. He held the record until...
Running back?
Yeah, running back. And he held the record, and I think he still has the second most rushing attempts in a season in the history of the National Football League. I think it was something like 423 attempts. He was really never the same after that, but he was just an absolute stud.
Oh my God.
What?
No, this is okay. Legitimately, Randy, 407 for 1,544 yards. Is that a Tampa Bay Buccaneers record? It might be. I feel like they never had a running back get more than 1,544
Probably
yards. That's got to be a Buccaneers record. 407 carries for 1,544 yards for 13 touchdowns. Here's the thing about this. He had 365 carries for 1,300 yards the next year and then fell apart.
Yep.
But there's not a lot of running backs in NFL history who have 400 and still go over 1,000 the next year.
Right.
The amount of he's on a very short list of guys who had 400 carries and still got 1,000 yards the next year, because other guys like Larry Johnson
holds the record at 416. Then fell off the cliff after the 2006 season. And then Jamal Anderson had 410 in 1998, gets hurt in the Monday night game, I think with Dallas, the week before they played the Rams in 1999. He was never the same either.
And that's why the guy who obviously has broke all our brains when it comes to this is, of course, Derrick Henry is an absolute freakazoid. He has actually never crossed the 400 touch plateau, but he touched the ball 397 times in his 2,000-yard season. And he 5 years later had another 2,000-yard season.
How about this? Eric Dickerson, 1983, 390 carries. 1986, he had 404 carries. And in 1988, he had 388 carries.
That's insane.
Dickerson has 3 of the top 12 single-season rushing attempt seasons and 4 of the top 18 in the history of the league.
And he's still walking around pretty good.
Yeah.
He might be one of the most underrated freak athletes in NFL history. We don't talk about enough. He was.
And by the way, that offensive line, I think there were Tom Mack, Slater, obviously. I think they had 3 Hall of Famers on that offensive line.
But I feel like part of it also has to be like, he's the kind of guy who he didn't run. He was gliding. Like he was just like, it was like water moving through in like a compact form. Eric Dickerson, like he just seemed like he was always like, it was kind of like when Tom Brady talks about how he never like took the big hits. I feel like Eric Dickerson, especially for the era, never like was never taking the head on to straight hit. Like he always shifted a little bit that you weren't getting him full on.
He was so fast too.
He was so fast.
He ran straight up. Yeah, it was hard to get him. Ray Beersdorf, what do you think the Steelers will do with Cam Heyward? Asking for a new contract since he had an all-pro season and played for less last year because he was coming off the injury. Adam Schefter said yesterday that the Steelers aren't showing an inclination to give him a new deal, but I would think that after they gave all the money to people like Ramsey, they didn't give a ton to Rodgers, but they gave DK Metcalf the big contract. I would think that a lot of those guys in that room will say, hey, let's take care of the guy that's been here. I think that's a big thing in sports. I would think they'll probably reach some resolution on that. I don't blame Cam Heyward for looking around and saying, hey, why are all these new guys getting more money than me?
Yeah, and I think the big thing that you mentioned is that he did take a pay cut from what he had been making the year prior last year because he was coming off an injured season. He had made a base salary going into last year of around $14.6 million, and he took a cap hit of only $12.6 million last year. And then this year, his cap hit does jump up to 19.6. But he's wondering, can I get back to like what I got in 2020 when I got 4 years for over $20 million per year? That's what he wants again, because he is healthy again. He had one of his, if not his best season last year. When you look at sacks, tackles for losses, pressures on the quarterback, Cam Heyward was an absolute monster. I understand people are saying you're older and you have a contract, play it out and respect it. But when you've been with an organization for 15 years, like he has been loyal, always been there, never gotten in trouble, it's completely reasonable to say, I took a $5 million pay cut last year because I was hurt. I showed up and played this year. Let's add $5 million back on. I think that's completely reasonable.
And his teammates vote him captain every year, too.
Yes.
All right, the Stifel Charity Classic, presented by Compliance Solutions, is back in the Lou September 4th through 7th, and music sensation O.A.R. is now headlining a community concert on the Friday after play. If you want to go, then all you need to do is participate in our game today. We've also got a website address for you so that you can get tickets. If you don't win free tickets from us today, go to StifelCharityClassic.com for more details. STIFEL, StifelCharityClassic.com. but you can win tickets today because we've got them for you and we want to take care of you. So, Matthew, how are people going to win today?
Well, we're doing a little bit more low and away question of the day. Just a little bit of Cardinals trivia today. I like this one. I've used it before, but I decided to bring it back because I think this one's really fun. It's a little unexpected, the answer. Low and away, our question of the day. If you want to win 2 tickets to O.A.R, answer in the chat here. The record for gold gloves won by an outfielder in a Cardinals uniform. So not a guy who played for the Cardinals and has the most gold gloves, but as a Cardinal outfielder, you won the most gold gloves in the Cardinals uniform. The most is 7 gold gloves won in a Cardinals uniform. Who pulled off that feat?
I think I know.
All righty.
I'm going to see if I know.
You should know this one. You've heard this.
If I don't,
I have so many trivia questions just on my computer now, Randy. I have literally thousands of sports trivia questions.
Oh, good.
That I can now pull from just sitting on my computer because of all our time together on the fight.
Oh yeah.
So I have thousands of sports trivia questions that I have now saved and I can now go to. So you have seen this question before, Randy. It was a long time ago.
I probably got it right then too, right?
It was about 2 years ago is when I would have pulled this one. Early on in baseball season of 2023, I believe is when I used this one. So we're going to get some chats here. We are getting the chat from Let's Turn 2. Keep sending your chats. We are going to keep talking around this as we give people more and more chances. Let's Turn 2. I'll be the one to bring it up. Taylor Swift on Kelsey's podcast. Anyone watch or listen.
Is it tonight?
Posts tonight at 6 p.m. So we haven't got a chance.
I don't know if I'll be watching it live, but I'll check it out. I'm sure there will be highlights, so I'll check out at least a portion of it.
I watch like 4 podcasts live. Not including the ones on here. No, I do not know because well, first of all, New Heights comes out in the morning on.
Oh, is tonight a special edition?
Yes. Okay. Usually they release in the mornings, but they changed the release edition. And that's why they've changed the release edition, obviously, because Taylor Swift's coming in and everyone's like, obviously, this is a huge deal. We have a winner in our low and away question of the day. No, I think I might have gotten it with you a couple years ago. How many did Willie have in his time here? Did I get this one wrong again? I feel like I didn't get this one right.
Yeah, he didn't have 7.
Willie didn't have 7?
No.
Willie in his time had, it was Kurt Flood.
Yeah.
Got here in St. Louis, or it was here in St. Louis, for 5 years after moving on from Cincinnati, and he won all 7 of those straight to close out his career. Obviously, he retires and doesn't play in 1970 for non-playing reasons, and then comes back in 1971 and plays for the Washington Senators. At the time in 1971, but his last 7 years straight in St. Louis, Kurt Flood rips off 7 straight gold gloves there. So Let's Turn 2 is the winner on that one. Ray Beiersdorf came in with Jimmy Ballgame. Jimmy Ballgame did take home 8 gold gloves, but he won his first 2 in his last 2 seasons for the Angels, which means he ripped off 6 in a Cardinals uniform. That's why it's still the man, the myth, the labor fighter Kurt Flood is the winner of today's trivia question. 7 gold gloves in a Cardinals uniform. Let's Turn 2. You're the winner of those 2 tickets to O.A.R. Just do us a favor. I'll put the number in the text line, the chat line. Text us your first name, your last name, and your email address so we can get you those tickets courtesy of our friends at the Stifel Charity Classic.
Okay, you mama says, I don't allow my kids to listen to Taylor Swift. She is a 40-year-old cosplaying a teenager.
Yeah, then I had a comment to your mama. I said that in the chat. I go, that means they are definitely that they definitely are listening, because if you tell your kid you cannot do this thing that is easily accessible and completely legal for you to do, I guarantee you they're finding a way to do it. Sorry.
Yeah. So and
I say that as a kid.
If they're just listening, and by the way, she's 35. But what difference does it make if kids are listening to her music? She's really a nice person. She's really good. She's good to people. There was a young lady here who, a St. Louis girl, who got hit by a car, and it changed her life, a brain injury. And I'll find the site on Facebook for you. But unannounced, without a posse, when she was still unconscious, Taylor Swift walked into her hospital room and sat down and spent time with her, and was very nice to the family, and by all accounts could not have been nicer to the family. And actually, I think She's like a big cardigan person, I think, and left her cardigan there allegedly by accident, but so that it was so this girl would have.
That's incredible.
The,
Come on.
the cardigan, and just walked in because it was a good, right thing to do.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah, listen, I understand you might not be the biggest fan. I'm just listen, like you can't hold kids back from that kind of stuff. Like my parents, I was not allowed to watch The Simpsons growing up. And I think that held me back a little bit culturally because American culture has been defined in a lot of ways by The Simpsons. There's probably listen, I'm not saying there's probably some music that kids shouldn't be listening to from Taylor Swift because she is an adult who I don't think is cosplaying as a teenager. I think she's reacting to ways that 28-year-old and 30-year-old adults react to situations. I think you see them as childish because that's how you perceive things. But I think as somebody who's almost the exact same age as Taylor Swift, I'm a little bit younger than her. The music's kind of grown up with me,
right?
And it's always been what it has been. But I think it's always been fairly indicative, in my opinion, of what a lot of the people, the average American females, goes through. And I think that's fair enough. And honestly, I love seeing Travis Kelce and Jason Kelce get all this pub. I love that everyone knows who they are. I'm a huge fan of Travis Kelce because he's a guy that in a lot of ways seemed like he would have been kind of an insufferable D-bag to deal with at a lot of ways when he was younger, but he's a lot of fun and he's just enjoying life out there. And so I will inevitably watch just so many clips from this interview because I'm addicted to my phone and I'll start scrolling, and eventually at some point the algorithm will take over and give me a lot of New Heights clips because I watch a lot of New Heights clips because when it's just Jason and Travis talking about non-Taylor stuff, I find myself watching that podcast all the time because they have a lot of fun.
That's the big thing, right? They're fun.
Yeah, they are a lot of fun, and it's literally it's a happy thing for me. I grew like Taylor Swift has done with a lot of problems with her relationships, and I grew up in every sitcom, the mom and the dad hated each other. So seeing two famous people clearly just goofy in love over each other, it's kind of it's I'll be sappy about it. It's nice to see. Let's lock back into the sports talk science. That's what they call him over on the radio show. Terrell Whitener comes in. Veterans Committee should put Flood in the Hall of Fame. 1,000%, 100%. Yes. Terrell Whitener, whatever percentage we need to talk about, 15,000%. That's what we're going to lower the prices by. I mean, get Curt Flood into the Hall of Fame. Absolutely 100%.
If Marvin Miller is in, and he is, then it's inexcusable that the powers that be that put people into the Hall of Fame have not yet done so for Curt Flood. And I'm so thankful that the Cardinals put Curt Flood into the Cardinal Hall of Fame. And, oh, by the way, his family very thankful as well, because they want him recognized. And I think it's important for current players to have a recognition as well of what he did for them. I think there's a lot of players that don't understand that the guy that is the reason that made them so much money is Curt Flood. And I think a lot of them just don't even know who he is or what he did.
And this is, I don't know why you made me remind me of something, but have you heard of, there's a podcast out there that each it pioneers something that they call the Baines meter. Have you heard of the Baines meter yet, Randy?
No.
It's from a podcast, Baseball is Dead, with Jared Carabas, who does a great job over in Boston. One of his hosts was the inventor of the Baines meter, also known as Club 38.8, because Harold Baines is in the MLB Hall of Fame with a WAR of 38.8. And so what they do on the podcast is every time a player in current Major League Baseball hits a career WAR of 38.8, they celebrate him hitting the Baines meter or becoming part of Club 38.8. And they have a whole podcast segment where they talk about whether or not that player, if they retired right now, would be a Hall of Famer.
That's great.
And
I love that.
It's so random, and it's such an unnecessary shot at Harold Baines' entire career and Hall of Fame induction, but I love it so much at the same time.
And Harold has Tony and Jerry Reinsdorf to thank for that, no doubt about it.
And that's their entire thing is it's so obvious that there was a blatant campaign to get Harold Baines into the Hall of Fame by the people who appreciated him, that's why they decided to single him out as we got to start talking about people with a 38.8 WAR. So mean, but it's so funny.
By the way, that the St. Louis woman that got hit by the car, Lauren Murphy, if you just do a search on Facebook for Lauren Murphy recovery page, there's a lot of stuff on there. So anyway, just another example of Taylor Swift being nice.
Cole Bass's left foot's going to have to change his name to Curt Flood's Hall of Fame voter. Flood was a 7-time Gold Glove winner, a 3-time All-Star, and a 2-time World Series champion. He batted over 306 times, and he led the NL in hits in 1964. He retired with the 3rd most games played in center field in National League history, behind only Willie Mays and Richie Ashburn. Those are great numbers.
Yeah, he was great. And don't forget that he gave up a good portion of his career to fight that fight. When he retired, do you have baseball reference? What was his last year that he played with the Cardinals?
So 69 is his last year with the Cardinals. He sits out 70, and he comes back in 71 and plays like 40 games for the Washington Senators. Sorry, I have it right in front of me. I'm sorry. He played 13 games for the Senators in 71 after playing 150 games for the Cardinals almost every season since he arrived at his age in 1960. So, I mean, based off what he had been doing, 7 straight years of Gold Glove, and he could have played 4 or 5 more years.
31. Yes,
he would have played he would have played at least 3, probably 4 or 5 more years, and he was consistently, his 162 game average as a Cardinal was a 293 hitter with a 733 OPS,
and it's just an unbelievable center fielder.
8 home runs, 59 RBI, and Gold Glove center field.
So missed. He died too soon, 59 years old when he passed away. I got a chance to meet him, and I asked him if any current players had ever come up and thanked him. And this was in the 80s. He said the only guy was Hubie Brooks, a former Met and Expo. Hubie Brooks was the only guy that had come up and thanked him for doing what he did to make the players all the money that he helped them make.
Wow.
So
you know what? And Hubie Brooks had a lot to thank him for, because Hubie Brooks came up in 1980, played just 5 years for the New York Mets, hit free agency at 27, joined the Montreal Expos for 5 more years, hit free agency again at 33, and then would bounce around to the Dodgers, the Mets, the Angels, and the Royals, playing through 37. So that's a guy who played for 5 teams, including being able to jump for a contract at 27 and being able to jump for a contract at 32, and he was able to do that because of Curt Flood.
And I told Hubie Brooks about that Curt Flood said he was the only guy that had come up, and he said, man, that's unbelievable. And Hubie Brooks, really nice guy. But he said he was shocked that he was the one that Curt Flood brought up.
And he went from when he left the Mets, he made $305,000 his final year with the Mets at 27 years old. When he signed with the Expos, he got an average of almost $800,000 a year. And then when he left the Expos, when he signed that 1-year deal with the Dodgers, $1.3 million. The next year with the Mets, $2.3 million. With the Angels, the next year, $2.3 million. So I mean, this is a guy who, because of Curt Flood, 10 years after he was playing for the Mets for $300,000, he was signing for the Mets a $316,000 signing bonus.
Yeah, so
good for him.
Hopefully, people like Shohei Ohtani and Juan Soto know who Curt Flood was.
Absolutely.
All right, that's gonna tomorrow. By the way, we didn't get a chance today. Tomorrow we're going to because we like to do it. We're going to pick on Jerry Jones a little bit. Obviously, we're going to have the Cardinal game this afternoon to talk about. He's already getting ready for that.
We'll do a little Mizzou talk as well tomorrow. Hannah Barton from Southeast Sports Fans will join us.
There we go. Good. Looking forward to that. And we're looking forward to you being back with us as we get ready for another great day of sports. Enjoy your hump day. And thanks for being a part of us here on STL Sports Central, presented by DraftKings, where the crown is yours.